It's a cold day in Michigan today. It's really starting to feel like winter all of a sudden. Hey everybody, it's Buzz. And today I want to talk about Banana Fish. That's a series that I just finished a few days ago, and I binge read it, and honestly this series was a lot to take in. It was very emotional. This is an extremely emotional series. A lot of crazy stuff happens in this series, and I kind of don't really know where to start, honestly. Anyways, I'll start by explaining what the series is. Banana Fish is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Akemi Yoshida. It was serialized in the monthly manga magazine Basetsu Shoujo Comic from 1985 to 1994 and collected into 19 tankobon volumes. Banana Fish follows the relationship between Ash Lynx, a teenage gang leader in New York City, and Eiji Okumura, a Japanese photographer's assistant. Though Banana Fish is not a boys' love BL series, critics have noted it's the series' depiction of homosexuality and homoeroticism as having been influenced by, and in turn having influenced, the BL genre. The series is further noted for achieving crossover success between audiences of shoujo and shonen manga series. The series was also adapted into a 24-episode anime series by MAPPA in 2018. The start to Banana Fish is pretty interesting. Basically, during the Vietnam War in 1973, an American soldier named Griffin Cullen Reese suddenly friendly fires on his own squadron, and he seems to be acting crazy, and eventually he collapses, and the only words he can speak are banana fish. And then the younger brother of this veteran is a leader of a gang of street kids in New York. He encounters a mortally wounded man who gives him a vial of an unknown substance and an address in California, and the man's last words are banana fish. And then thus begins Ash's investigation into banana fish, and what it means, and what it is. This series is incredibly interesting. At its core, this is a mystery drama series. The mystery of what banana fish is, the mystery of what it does, of who or what it is, and then the mysteries of banana fish is actually a bit of a conspiracy. Ties into the mafia, ties into the government, to an extent even the police. And it's kind of a conspiracy mystery action series. The main characters of this series are from street gangs in New York City, and then the main villain of this series is a guy named Dino Galzone, who is a mob boss who owns a slave trade. This series will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat. Lots and lots of questions in this series that you're really going to want the answers to. I was reading this series at a pace of one volume a day on average at first, but about in the second half I started reading about 2 volumes a day. This series is incredibly wordy. It's kind of like Death Note in the way where it's super wordy and each volume takes a lot longer to read than like your average manga volume. Lots and lots and lots of paragraph style reading and text boxes in this series, which isn't a bad thing considering the lore is incredibly interesting. So even though at its core this series is primarily an action mystery drama, a lot of people think of Banana Fish as being primarily a BL series, which to be honest isn't really all that true. This series isn't super strongly any sort of BL or any sort of romance series at all. There's a lot of in-series shipping between Ash and Eiji, but it never really goes anywhere. In fact, it was vague enough that the author of the series actually had to clarify later, after the series was already done, to say whether it was even whether they even had a romantic relationship at all. If you're going into this series because you want a romance series, you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get that, at least primarily. This series has a really nice cast of characters. There's lots of different, teams, so to speak, in this story. So there's the street gangs, the mob, the police, the government, mercenaries, and then also just the journalists. So there's lots of different angles that people take. And so even though it's kind of like a war on the streets in New York City, there's a lot of different aspects, and there's a lot of different viewpoints on what's going on. Now, even though I say that there's lots of different sides, there is a clear evil. It is a very clear good versus evil story. Just because there's lots of different viewpoints on lots of different topics, it is, still a very clear good guy versus bad guy storyline. It doesn't really stray away from that too far. This series has been praised a lot for how it influenced the boys love genre. A lot of people really appreciated the more very realistic and subdued take on BL, with like how subtle it was, on how subtle Ash's and Eiji's relationship was. Banana Fish is a series that never really stops. From start to finish, there's never really any breaks. It's kind of a roller coaster that never gets off until the last volume. Banana Fish is definitely a wild ride. It is definitely very engaging. It never slows down. It's action, action, action all the time. And when it's not action, there's incredibly interesting lore and exposition that genuinely got me invested. So either way, you know, I was on the edge of my seat with this. I don't really want to get into the ending at all for spoiler reasons, since I don't want anybody to get spoiled on what actually happens from my video, but the ending was like haunting to me. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. I would just like think about it. I would have like flashbacks to this manga for a couple of days after I finished it. Like, it left such an impression on me. I just like couldn't stop thinking about it. You know, I'd be like minding my own business. I was playing Dark Souls, and then I'm like, oh, that scene from the ending, that was, ooh, yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's not much else I can talk about without going into spoilers for this. Yeah, honestly, I loved this series. There's really not anything bad about it. Honestly, like, there's pretty much nothing in this series which is bad. It's not perfect, so I'm not gonna give it a perfect score, but it's wonderful. I love this series. It was super good, super engaging. And, you know, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I loved it. It was fantastic. And, honestly, I'm incredibly excited to read more manga by the same author. Aki Miyoshida did a few more manga, which are actually in the same world as Banana Fish. There's another one called Yasha, which takes place in the 90s. And there's actually some returning characters from Banana Fish in that one. And then there's also a sequel to that, which has like relatives of the characters from that. So the Banana Fish world kind of builds on itself with some of the other series from the same author, and I am excited to read them. The only issue though is none of them got released in English, so that's gonna be tough. You know, I would just read it in Japanese, but with how like incredibly wordy Banana Fish was, I don't think I'll be able to do that. It's probably gonna be a bit too high of a reading level for me. So there's that, but I really hope it gets an English release. If Viz gets their hands on Yasha and then they start releasing it and then they market it as like in the same world as Banana Fish, free money for Viz, because people love Banana Fish and people are definitely going to want to eat up another series in the same world. Free money for Viz. They should totally get their hands on Yasha, dude. That'd be great. Alright, well, I guess that wraps it up, I guess. I don't think there's anything else I can talk about. Also, my next review is probably going to be Yona of the Dawn. I started reading that, so that'll be fun. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I guess I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. See ya. Banana Fish.